Ketamine Connections. Welcome back. Anna here. We're doing something exciting and different for today's episode. If you're watching this on the YouTube, my hair is exciting and different. So lots of changes happening here. So today's episode, I want you to think about it more like a twofer, like a two-part episode, because I have an episode that I recorded almost a year ago, and it talks about the same topic. And now I want to follow up on that episode. And so today's conversation is more like a two-part conversation. So I'll record this part and I'll give you a bunch of information, and then I'll play the recording from last year and you can have a listen to that. And also, if you have any feedback about, the style, it was really fun for me to listen to myself talking a year ago and just reflecting on how in almost a year of weekly episodes, how I've changed, how this platform has changed, how the conversation has changed, how even my tone of voice has changed. So that's really exciting to have these two juxtaposed. I've been starting to reflect on, we're coming on that year mark of this podcast existing, and I've been reflecting on the year. And this was a really fun way to listen back and really hear myself back then, and then also know what I sound like now. So the episode that is the second part of this is the same topic. So we're talking about the one prep step, the one ketamine preparation step that most people miss, and the one that is least talked about, and that is social media use. And so last year, the episode, the second part rather of this episode is when I had completed a month off of social media. And now, as of, in just a few weeks, I will have completed a year off social media. And that is just mind blowing to me. I'll be completely honest. I never intended to take a full year off of social. I'll tell the story of how this came to be, that it turned into a full year. And it was so sweet for me to reflect back on that month. And even the language I use in the episode of if a month feels like a lot, or if it feels like a little, or, I know back then a month felt really wild to me. And now a whole year later, it feels even wilder. I'm going to talk about the shifts that I've noticed, the benefits that I've received. I'm also going to talk about some things that maybe I miss as well, which is also really new. It's really only been the past few weeks where I've started to miss social media. And so, I'll tell the whole story of how this 1 month experiment turned into a full year experiment. But let me explain first why this is relevant to ketamine preparation. Again, this is the title of the one step that most people miss when preparing for ketamine. And so talking to clients about social media use as a precursor to ketamine is something that I've been doing since the beginning. I started doing this work in 2021, and talking about the input is common, right? Most clinics are going to tell you about diet. Hopefully, I'm hearing more and more that that's not true. But talking about diet, talking about not eating anything the day of, talking about, any medication that you might taper or you might adjust for your ketamine protocol, talking about sleep hygiene, talking about cannabis use, talking about alcohol use. These are all really common. And these are all things that we input into our system. And so is media. Media, including social media, is a form of input. It's a form of something that you are digesting. Your subconscious mind is processing everything that you hear, listen, and things that are even imperceptible to you, even things that are beyond your scope of seeing, right? Because I've talked about this in other episodes, how the subconscious mind is 10 steps ahead of the conscious mind. Every thought you think, your subconscious mind is on to the thought you'll think in a few moments, And so when we talk about social media, there's all these inputs, right? We know about product placement in movies and magazines. It's the same thing. Our subconscious mind is taking in these little cues from social, from the music, from the jingles, from the clothes that people are wearing or not wearing. All of that is a part of what you're inputting, and your subconscious mind is cross-examining that against your own belief system. So that is happening live time subconsciously, and social media is a part of media, and that is something to be aware of. It's something to be aware of on any day in any way. And it's something to be even more heightened aware of when you are doing ketamine, because ketamine really drops the veil, the guardian of the mind, the gate, the passageway between your conscious and your subconscious mind. That gate lowers and it becomes much easier for things to come in. And when we're talking about preparation, we're talking about really setting up the fertile soil, right? Like tilling the soil, turning it over, and preparing it for what you're about to receive. And when you are receiving messages from social media, from movies, from even music, honestly, then that is getting programmed in. And because the soil is more fresh, right? It's like all of these, think of them like little seeds, all of these little seeds are going in, and your subconscious mind doesn't have a hierarchy, it doesn't have a preference, it doesn't have as much discernment as your conscious mind does. I think back to, I was listening recently to some music that I listened to when I was a teenager, and I was remembering all the words pretty much on automatic. And I was thinking, wow, that really got in there. Now, do I agree with those lyrics? Some yes, some no. And it doesn't matter because your subconscious mind is going to um, provide the ground, the soil for whatever seeds you plant. So whether those seeds are for joy, opening yourself up to different possibilities, or if those seeds are for doom and gloom, your subconscious mind is going to work with those seeds regardless of what they are. And when the subconscious gate is the gate between the conscious and the subconscious is lowered, which was what happens with ketamine, those images, those messages are able to get into your mind more easily. And I will say too, just from my own personal experience, I remember having more than one journey. And I was thinking back, in my integration phase when I was journaling, reflecting, and things like that. And I think back to some of the images that I had, and I realized that they were images that were based on a movie that I watched or based on a TV show that I saw or something like that, maybe even a magazine or something out in the world. And it was fine. I've known about this for a long time. I don't watch anything that I don't want, implanted into my subconscious mind. And that's been for ages. Even before I started this work, I realized when I was, I think, 12 years old, how negatively impacted I was by scary movies. So I stopped watching horror films when I was really young. And since then, I've gotten even more discerning around what media I consume. So those images that came into journeys that I've had were pretty innocuous. They were pretty chill, and they were actually helpful. But that's also because I'm practicing this level of discernment pretty much every day. So, yes, your media consumption is a part of ketamine prep. And when we're talking about social media use, you'll hear it in the second part of this episode, which was recorded a year before this part, where I talk about my phone use and I talk about different apps. So, when we're talking about social media, sure, we're talking about the TikTok app, we're talking about Instagram. It also includes LinkedIn. It also includes dating apps. It includes anything that you're consuming on your phone, even if they are games, even if they are other types of apps. There's so many apps out there. I honestly don't even know the half of it. And that media consumption is talking about really any app. So when we're talking about these app use, I talk about it in the first episode that these app uses become compulsive. One of the benefits that I talked about from getting off of social media was that I was able to reroute my transition time, moving from one task to another, or moving from a phone call to email, or what have you. Those transition moments, I was able to fine tune, and I have a different relationship with those transition moments that I'll talk about a little bit more in the later part of this part. And the thing to know, the reason that this is a part of ketamine prep, for a lot of reasons, right? I've already talked about the input. I've already talked about those seeds getting into your subconscious mind. The other thing is that a lot of you are coming to ketamine for a transformation, right? A transformation in the way that you think, the way you relate to the world, a transformation in how your outlook on life, right? And what that translates to when we talk about this on a subconscious level is you're looking for a pattern interrupt. And that is also how you get into the grooves of the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind, I've talked about it before. And if you want more, again, shoot me an email and let me know. I love putting out episodes for what you guys are interested in. And the subconscious mind works in patterns and it works in recognizing patterns. And so a lot of this app use is compulsive, right? How many times have you picked up your phone and all of a sudden you're in an app, not even knowing how you got there, not even knowing what you're doing there, really just going through the motions and observing yourself? Well, maybe you're not observing yourself, but maybe now you'll observe yourself having a compulsive experience. And anytime you can interrupt those impulses, those compulsive tendencies, you are already reprogramming the subconscious mind. And so that's what we talk about when we mean proper preparation. We're talking about the things around the journey itself that are going to prime your subconscious mind to change, that are going to make the effects of ketamine go further and longer. And these are all things that I cover in the ketamine preparation protocol. So if you're not already in there, get in there, because this episode will talk about social media use, and there's a lot more that's in the prep protocol, the ketamine preparation protocol, that is going to give you other really simple tools and tips that will help you get the most of these journeys, so that ketamine is transforming your life and not just, another thing that you try. Okay. How did this 1 month experiment turn into a whole year experiment? Holy moly, I can't believe it's almost been a year. Well, I talk about this in the second part that you'll hear, that I took a month off of social because I was noticing that I wasn't actually talking about this work on social. I had been talking about hypnosis. I was talking about the subconscious mind. There's a lot of personal stuff to my life on there. I moved to the mountains last year. I was hiking a lot. So that was in there. And I wanted to shift my relationship with social media from entertainment to more about getting this message out, this message that I'm really passionate about. And so I took the month off, and in that month, I hired someone to help me with that. Unfortunately, that did not work out. We can go on a whole nother tangent about running an online business, the team effort that this is, the multiple players that go into everything that you see, hear, experience in this platform. Keep looking back because things are changing really quickly. And that person was not the right fit for the role. And by the time that I realized that, the month had passed. And then I took the project back and I said, okay, I'll deal with it. I'll do this work, but it's really not my zone of genius. And so it took me about 2 months to feel good about coming back. So that puts us in about October. So right around October, I started coming back to social media, and it was fascinating. By then, I hadn't scrolled Instagram on my phone in 3 months. And I say it in the episode, I did use Instagram on my computer a little bit, but it was less scrolling and more replying to DMs and having fun conversations with you guys. But I hadn't scrolled it on my phone, which was the compulsion, which was the addiction, honestly. And so 3 months off, I come back and I notice, wow, this is really affecting my mental health. And, I talk about this a little bit. And if you want more, again, shoot me an email. I talk about how I have a whole life built around fostering my mental health. It's a lot about what I teach. It's a lot about what I offer in the ketamine preparation protocol. And to notice, it's the same realization I had with alcohol 7 years ago of, I have this whole life built around my mental health. It looked different then than it does now. And I was noticing alcohol was tanking my mental health in just a few drinks. And I was noticing the same thing with social media. First of all, I noticed that after 3 months, I didn't have the stamina for social media. 10 minutes felt like an hour, which in the past I could scroll for hours. Honestly, I don't remember how long, but I know there were times where I had been on for 1, 2, maybe 3 hours. And spending that much time on social media was actually normalized in that time in my life. But after 3 months off, 10 minutes felt like so long. I also noticed that, the posts were sticking to me, the jingles and the songs were sticking in my head. I was remembering things sort of in my day-to-day life. have to work on overthinking. And these thoughts were coming in of things that I saw and experienced. Again, not good or bad, but that's taking up brain space for my own thoughts to come through. And I noticed almost immediately when I came back after those 3 months how I didn't have the stamina, how it was affecting me. And so then I started getting even more strategic with it, which was my same tactic when I stopped drinking alcohol. Okay, I will get more strategic. I'll master this. And so I started doing that with social media, and I noticed that it was getting better, but within 2 weeks of being back, I got canceled. My account got shut down. And so there's a lot of censorship on social media. There's things that you can't talk about, and psychedelic use is one of them. Unfortunately, even if you have an educational account like I do, even if you're sharing information, even if you have like a whole DM section of people wanting to buy drugs and you consistently saying no, does not matter. It violates their community guidelines. They're not using the same level of discernment. They have bots that pick up on words, and they shut my account down. Okay, this is where I'm going to get a little bit more energetic, more into the woo, more into the meaning, right? We give meaning to so many things. So they shut me down on 11/11, which is an energetic portal, in my opinion. You are welcome to your own opinion. In 2018, it was the 11/11 portal when I had my last drink of alcohol. I have a lot of stories about potent energy around that portal, and getting shut down was at the same time. That 11/11 portal was my final notice of like, no, you're done, you're not coming back. And to me, that wasn't really a coincidence. To me, it meant a few things. One, I felt more energetically supported. I felt more guided towards the no that I had already been feeling for 2 weeks of being back. And also, it reminded me that I don't want to be at a party where I can't talk about what I want to talk about. I don't want to exist in this highly censored space. And that's everywhere. So if you're not on my email list, click anything on my website, get on my email list so we can stay in touch, because who knows where censorship will go to next. There's crazy, crazy things happening in the country right now. So, and not all of it is black and white, is what we hopefully know to be true. And there's a lot of censorship around psychedelics, even ketamine being a federally legal psychedelic, even with all of the things around ketamine and this educational platform. It doesn't matter. My platform on Instagram was also educational. Like I said, they don't care. They're just looking for those hot words, and they shut it down. So it stung. I didn't enjoy that process of getting shut down. I mentioned in the second part of this episode, I'd been on Instagram for 10 years. I really liked my content. It's all gone. They said that they would send me my content. I asked so many times. They never sent it to me. It's all gone. It's all good. Was it Edgar Allan Poe that lost his suitcases of writing and then wrote epics that were even better because he started over? So I'm okay with that. I was wanting to share longer form content anyway. And so this platform of the podcast is really my favorite way to interact with you guys. So I'm no shade, no harm done really, but I walked away. I walked away from the Instagram game. I have not been back. I did create a new account. By the time this episode releases, I'll put it in the show notes. We're not doing anything with it yet, but eventually we will. If you want to see a funny video of me, I was recording something that day when I got the email that my account was not coming back, etc. And so I was doing a mic check for that video, and there's a funny video of me processing in live time the disappointment of getting shut down. If you're into that, again, I'll link it in the show notes, and come follow us on Instagram. We'll start putting shorts from the podcast out. We'll start doing something with it within the next probably month, maybe two. I don't know. I thought I was going to be off Instagram for a month, and it's been a year. So what is time? But yeah, hop on Instagram. We'll connect there. Maybe not for a long time, because who knows when they'll shut us down again. So yeah, if you're interested in staying in touch, just hop on the email list, and and get on there. And then you'll know about, any free offerings that I have. I have a monthly free offering that I do. I have, anything related with the ketamine preparation protocol, all the updates and the upgrades that we make there, and anything else that we put out will be on the email list. And it's also where I can speak freely. So there's a lot more content that goes into the email list that I than I do out here. So a few things that I'll say after being off of Instagram and social media for a whole year. I already said it before that I'm noticing my transitions are even better. I mentioned this in part 2/part 1, that the other part that you'll hear. I mentioned that I was starting to take breaks with tapping, hypnosis, meditation. And I've been doing that for a whole year now. And so my breaks are actually a lot richer. I'll talk about the science in the other part of this episode, about the science of taking breaks, how social media is not a break, how it's actually really stressful to the mind. And so then having a whole year of anytime I do feel like I need a little mental break from work, that break comes in the form of a meditation, a hypnosis, a tapping video, or even dancing, shaking, somatic work. And that makes my life so much richer. And having a whole year of the cumulative benefits of that is really been profound. I'm noticing myself working integration into my day, where it used to be kind of the bookend marks, right? I would do stuff in the morning and I would do stuff at night. And I wanted to do stuff in the middle of the day, but the social media just kind of grasped my attention and pulled me in way too compulsively. So I didn't have that ability. And after a year of that, my nervous system feels totally different. I have a higher window of tolerance. I have a greater attention span. Another benefit is that my attention span has come back. I am diagnosed with ADHD before it was cool in grade school. And I've noticed my attention span coming back. I started using YouTube as social media, but using not the shorts, using the longer form content. So now when I consume something, it's usually like a 8 to 30-minute video. I don't really do much beyond that. And that's enriching my life because I'm learning in longer form and my attention span is coming back. I am still reading, which is really nice. And that again is helping with my attention span. I also should mention, I don't know if you guys are listening to this on 1x speed or higher. I used to be someone that listened to everything on 1.5 to 2x speed. And I stopped doing that last year as well, when one of my teachers actually called it out and called out how, are you trying to get somewhere? Like, are you trying to like put the most in for some check mark, for some accolade, for whatever? And that I felt called out, and I stopped listening to things on anything other than 1x speed. And I do that with YouTube as well. So it's helping me calm down in conversations, right? I can listen better. I have more patience for real life conversations, and that feels really good in my nervous system as well. I don't know if you've noticed that. Shoot me an email. Let me know if you notice how listening to things on greater than 1x speed, or consuming a lot of those short form reels, TikToks, YouTube shorts, whatever they are, messes with your attention span. It really does. So my attention span has come back a lot. My sleep hygiene is still pretty good. It slipped a little bit. I'm going to call myself out. I've been checking other apps on my phone. I'm noticing myself toggling between different messaging apps. I'm in a lot of group chats, so I find myself catching up on group chats at night. I've been working on minimizing that, but it's way better than when social was on my phone for sure. I'm noticing that I'll take breaks during the day. I'll bulk my breaks together, right? I used to take like even like a 10-minute break when I had timers on my social media. I would take like a 10-minute break, 10-minute break, 10-minute break. Now I clump it together and I'll go for a hike in the middle of the day. So that's really nice. I did hike 100 miles last summer, which is so cool. And I also released this podcast, and I'm so proud to say we have not missed an episode. Weekly episodes, they're released every Wednesday. We haven't missed an episode this whole year. And the time release that I had from social, and also the comparison release, the judgment, like all the things, all the ways that social affected my mental health helps me show up more authentically here with you. And that's really what's rewarding for me, is to share the work that I'm doing in the ketamine space, to share how I help with preparation, and to share other voices of people in the field so that we are demystifying the ketamine space, because it's helping a lot of people. And I love hearing from you guys, by the way. Shoot me an email, get on my email list and let's interact, because that is something that makes it really, really fun for me as well. All right. Well, that is part one of this 1 year later, no social media. Holy wow. I can't believe it's been a year. Like I said, what we're looking to return. We'll see how that goes. Oh, I did mention that I've been missing social a little bit. I'm noticing in my community, in my in-person community, people are talking about things that they've posted. So I'm missing it a little bit. Is the cost benefit analysis of missing just like a few things here and there worth the effect on my mental health? I haven't had Instagram on my phone in many months. I'm still using my little brick device. I actually misplaced it about 2 months ago. So it'll show up. It's not the first time I've misplaced it. So it'll definitely show up, and I'll unbrick my phone and get some of those apps back. But in the meantime, I have access to them on my laptop. That really limits my use of them. There are 3 tips that I talk about in the part 2 of this episode of how to limit your social media use, and the Get Brick app. I think I mentioned in the show that I had a code. They don't have an affiliate program, so I'll just include the link because it's been really helpful to me. I want to spread the word for things that help me. And that is the 1 year later. I would love to hear your feedback. Maybe you're watching this on YouTube and you leave a comment and I can respond, or maybe you shoot me an email. However you want to interact, I'm totally here for it. And thanks for listening to this 1 year later experiment. And I'm excited for you to hear what I recorded after just a 1 month experiment. So let's dive into part 2. A lot of listeners of this show are new to ketamine. And honestly, if that's you and you're anxious or just someone who likes to feel prepared, then you know that ketamine can be beautiful and it can also be overwhelming. Most clinics will not tell you this, but preparing for ketamine is what turns a confusing, chaotic trip into a grounded, life-changing experience. The ketamine preparation protocol is your go-to guide to walk you through that door with confidence. I've used this exact framework with clients since 2021 to help you feel safe, supported, and ready. And the feedback is always the same. I'm so glad I had this before my first journey. So whether you've already started ketamine or you're about to, if you're wondering, what if I do it wrong? Just don't wonder, prepare. Head to the link in the show notes and get started with the ketamine preparation protocol so that you can get the transformation that you deserve. Hello, welcome to Ketamine Connections. I'm your host, Anna Kristal, also known as your ketamine coach. Whether you are a returning listener or joining us here for the first time, I'm so thrilled to have you here today. For those that are new, Ketamine Connections is a podcast dedicated to exploring the transformative power of ketamine therapy for mental health and personal growth. So each week we dive into the fascinating world of ketamine, peeking behind the curtain of what is happening in the psychedelic space. What is ketamine being used for? What are some of the common questions that I hear as your ketamine coach for the past 3 years? And just share powerful stories. So welcome to the psychedelic model of healing. It's a strange, wild, mysterious world, and I'm so excited to share it with you. My goal here is to create a space where we can openly discuss and demystify ketamine therapy and associated topics, specifically with integration and the subconscious mind. I want to provide you with insights and tools so that you can just know more. So whether you're considering ketamine therapy for yourself, a loved one, or simply curious about its potential and the topics that surround this world, this podcast is here to guide you, to support you, and I'm really happy that you followed your curiosity here. I cannot wait to embark on this journey of exploration and transformation and get curious together. How fun is that? So what are we talking about today? Seemingly unrelated topic, but I promise that it is. Today, we're diving into the transformative power of taking a break from social media. What? A big part of my integration coaching work is to help clients make better choices that impact your quality of life. And one of those choices, for sure, is how we engage with social media. Whether you admit it or not, there is an impact of social media on your life, on your subconscious mind, on your daily existence. And that's what I want to get into. I have been discussing this topic with clients for years, and I have my own relationship with social media that I'm going to talk about today as well. And I can absolutely comfortably and confidently say that indiscriminate, unchecked social media use, it greatly impacts your quality of life. It just does. So, I mean, I love talking about the subconscious mind. Let's start there, right? What is social media doing to your subconscious mind? There's no one answer to that because it really does vary depending on how you use social media, when you use social media, and how you interact with social media. I can tell you sort of. Let me just get into the doom and gloom of it, right? That's what we all know. And I like to come at it from a subconscious perspective. So let's talk about programming, right? We are constantly being programmed. Our subconscious mind is constantly interacting with the world. Our subconscious mind is 10 steps ahead of the conscious mind. So by the time you think it, your subconscious mind, that's like old freaking news. And the subconscious mind is constantly seeking interaction with the world and creating stories that match your subconscious programming. And social media is one of the things that your subconscious mind is interacting with. So yes, it does to release dopamine and can create cycles of dependency on those dopamine hits. That's not great. For sure, you want to guard your dopamine. So, for example, if you are constantly seeking dopamine from cheap hits like social media use, then when you walk outside and look at the trees, it might not hit as hard. Or you look at a loved one, or you, I don't know, put on your favorite pair of socks and it just gets like a little bit dimmer. So you definitely want to monitor social media use for that specific reason. And also, it's absolutely impacting our attention span. I've noticed it in myself. Social media in the past, 4 years with TikTok coming forward, all those like short little videos that are, now they're like 5 seconds. But, whatever they are under 90 seconds, it's absolutely affecting the attention span. And there's so much comparison that happens with social media that it absolutely impacts the self-esteem. It impacts how you see yourself, how you see the world, how you see yourself in the world. So that's kind of the doom and gloom of it. One more thing that I will mention as well is that even if you're looking at social media on an iPad, I don't know how big an iPad is. I don't have one, but let's say it's like this big. Here's what we know about the mind-body connection. It's a two-way street. So, for example, you can think of something really stressful right now, that unpaid bill or that unresponded to email, and you can start stressing yourself out by thinking of something. Congruently, you can use your body to calm yourself. Say that thought pops into your mind, but you're like out to dinner with a loved one and you're not going to do it at that moment. You can use your body to calm your subconscious mind, to calm your brain, your nervous system. And why is that valid in this conversation? Because what we know about the way that the brain and the body responds to different views. Okay, so right now I'm recording this and my screen, even the room that I'm in, is narrow focus. Narrow focus in the body translates as physiological stress that stresses the subconscious mind and the brain as well. You can look out the window and look at the sky and expand your vision in all directions as far as you can go. You can do that indoors as well, but it's nicer to look out into the sky because you have a wider scope, and that will calm your subconscious mind. And so when you're looking into a screen, you are narrowing your focus, and that is going to inherently cause stress. It just is. It's hardwiring. And that's something to consider with social media use, is that whatever screen you're looking on, it's smaller than the sky. Let's put it that way. What else can I tell you? So I've been working with clients on this for years and years, troubleshooting different things that you can do to have a different relationship with social media. The one that I've been preaching for years and years that I know you've heard, and this is just a reminder, is you can filter your feed. So you mute or unfollow accounts that are not, as Marie Kondo would say, causing you joy. You can definitely take that to curate your feed so that every time you look at it, you're getting inspired, you're getting excited, you're getting something that serves your highest and greatest good. Another tactic that I have loved, and this one will absolutely limit your social media use. If you switch your phone to black and white, I was floored at how uninteresting my feed is when it's in black and white. I've had clients use this, and it's brilliant. If you have an iPhone, there's an accessibility setting that you can put on where you can literally toggle back and forth. And it's amazing how uninteresting your phone becomes when it's in black and white. So if you reduce that visual appeal, it really helps break up the cycle. Also, you can move your apps around so that your social media apps are in different pages, so you have to look for them. That creates enough of a pattern interrupt that you might stop and say, wait, what am I doing? Why am I going to social media? What's happening here? And of course, you can set timers on your phone, set timers on the use. And, this does help create boundaries and help you become more mindful of your time on social media. And I'll just say that this has been the least effective tactic in my experience. I have tried the timer, the screen limit on my iPhone. I have tried different apps. And here's what happens. And my clients have reported the same exact thing, that if it is on your phone, if the override option for whatever limit you're using is on your phone, it's too close. You will absolutely be able to override it. You can snooze it for 5 minutes and then maybe another 5 minutes, and it just puts you down the rabbit hole. And the thing that I'll say about that is there is actually a device that I used for my social media break that made, honestly, this whole break possible. And it's called a brick. It actually came up for me in an Instagram ad, which I find ironic and hilarious. And it has been a game changer. It's a little magnet. I should have had it with me for this recording to show you. It's a little magnet that offloads the apps onto the phone. So it just locks them, doesn't offload them. It locks the apps. And in order to unlock the app, you need the device. You get 5 overrides like ever. I'm sure they'll start charging for them at some point. And then it will probably be less effective, although it is super effective. If you have the brick, you can unlock it. So I locked a whole bunch of social media stuff on my phone just over a month ago. And the magnet is on the fridge. I don't take it with me, but I love, once I am back on social, I love the idea of, offloading the apps and putting it in my purse or something like that, just so that I can interrupt that pattern of just reaching for it and clicking it, just reaching and clicking. And I have absolutely loved my brick device. I have a discount code for you in the show notes. I'm absolutely in love with it. I've been recommending it to everyone. If you are serious about getting the impulse to check the apps off your phone, that is absolutely going to do it. I have a note on my phone when I hit 2 weeks without social media on my phone. And here's a few things that I noticed immediately within like 10-ish days of not having these apps on my phone. One, I was having a much easier time switching in between tasks. So I could go from, whatever I was doing, writing emails to, I don't know, getting something to drink, right? Getting a glass of water. There's just the little things in between my day, the transition moments became a lot easier without this app on my phone. And I noticed that I started reading again, which I haven't done in a long time. I have a master's degree in literature, and it's wild to just get back to reading an analog book. I've been really loving that in my life. And the third thing that happened was that I was noticing that I was actually relaxing. So, I have so many guided meditations, guided hypnosis, guided breathworks, all of these really useful tools on my phone. But when the social media takes precedent over them, I don't use them quite as much. And I've noticed that with this break, I've actually used them. I've actually pulled out my phone and done a guided meditation. Some of my, guided sessions, hypnosis, meditation, breath work, so many subconscious reprogramming tools that I interact with. Some of them could be as short as 5 or 10 minutes. And doing that instead of 5 or 10 minutes on social media is absolutely increasing my quality of life. And I gotta say, a month off of social has been really refreshing. I feel so much more present. I feel so much more connected to my daily life, to how I'm interacting with my existence. And it's actually kind of wild, too. I was getting ready to record this episode and I was reminded of how, I haven't had alcohol in 6 years. And it took me 2 years to put down alcohol for the past 6 years. And when I was in that process of that 2-year process of, really distancing myself from alcohol, I would put down alcohol for a month at a time, 2 weeks at a time. And I didn't think anything of it. I used to take breaks often. And in the last, 20 years on social media, I've been on Facebook for 20 years. And 10 years on Instagram. And I've never put the apps away intentionally in my daily life. I've put them away if I'm on a retreat or something. A lot of times when I'm traveling, I'll put those apps away. And it's kind of naturally and organically. I don't lock them the way that I did with this break. But having this break and putting the app down on my phone fully for a month has been incredible. I did leave the app up on my computer because I have conversations that I only conduct through social media. I have part of my business on social media. So I did still need to interact with Instagram, but I barely scrolled because scrolling on my laptop just isn't fun for me. And it's not a habit that I have. And wow, a month off from social media. What can I tell you other than how good it's felt? Well, this podcast is a direct product of this time that I have spent off of social media. I am spending my summer living in the mountains this year, and I am going to hit 100 miles of hiking in 2 months. That is not including my daily walks. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm back to reading analog books, which feels awesome. And these activities really have enriched my life in a way that social media couldn't. And nonetheless, I am excited to get back. I'm excited to get back and share my work with you. So this break has really enforced my belief of the importance of, mindful social media use for sure, but also kind of understanding that you have a relationship with social media. Even if you don't have a relationship with social media, you have a relationship with social media because the world, the collective, has a relationship with social media. And so I mentioned earlier, I've been on Facebook for 20 years where you needed a university email address to get onto the app. And we uploaded our photos to Facebook through like point and click cameras with like SD cards. This was like pre-smartphone age. And that was a time. That was a time. Facebook's obviously grown immensely. And, in 20 years, my relationship with social media has also shifted. And I really took this break to evaluate what is the iteration of my social media relationship that serves me now, that serves this chapter of my life as it is now. It will obviously change. It always is changing. So one of the big changes coming out of the social media break is that I'm shifting my page to talk more about my work with ketamine coaching, psychedelic integration, the subconscious mind. This is the work that really lights me up, and I'm excited to share more about this and have my Instagram be less of a personal page. It started off as a personal page 10 years ago, and it's kind of toggled back and forth. And I am excited to make it really just about the work that I do. Obviously, parts of me will be in there as well, but for the most part, I'm excited to bring my work out because I'm every day talking to clients and discussing things that everybody should know. Your subconscious mind is 95% of your brain. Everyone should know what it is, where it lives, how it functions, the language it speaks. This is the stuff that they should have taught us in school. So what can I leave you here today? Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for making it to the end of this episode. And I really believe that the fact that you clicked on this episode and made it all the way through means that there is something here for you. So I hope you got it. Maybe you got it in the episode. Maybe there's something that I said that confirmed something that you've heard a few times and there's a synchronicity and now you're going to go off and try something new. Or maybe you heard something for the first time and that you are getting curious about. Maybe nothing obvious clicked in, but guess what? You might be out in your regular day at some point in time, and something from this episode that hit your subconscious mind is interacting with the world, and it just clicks in, and boom, change can happen that quickly. So however it occurs, I hope you stay curious about your social media use, curious about how you spend your time and energy, curious about how it's totally possible for one seemingly small pattern interrupt to cascade into a whole ripple effect of magic in your life. I've seen it in my work time and time again, how possible change is on a micro and macro level. And it's really quite a beautiful thing because at the end of the day, the only constant in life is change. So then it really becomes up to you if the changes in your life are by your design or by default. So I'll end there and I'll say thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Ketamine Connections. I hope you found this episode insightful and empowering and satiating to your curiosity. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with your friends and family. Your support helps this information reach more people and people that can really benefit from these conversations. Our next episode, we are going to talk about something fun and exciting because, in my opinion, all of these episodes are fun and exciting. I'm in the pre-release phase. I am recording a whole bunch of episodes. I actually don't know what order they're going to be released in, but I know I'm super excited for all of them. And I know that I would love for you to subscribe and come back. So that's all I have for you today. I want you to stay curious, stay excited, stay exploring. And I'm Annika Strahl. I am your ketamine coach. And thanks for listening. Take care. Thank you so much for tuning into Ketamine Connections with me today. If this episode supported you, the best way to say thank you is by sharing it or leaving a review. And if you're enjoying the show and you want to connect more, I would love to see you on my newsletter. That is where I share behind the scenes insights, thoughtful guidance, and other parts of your ketamine journey. Never spam, always fun. And honestly, since getting kicked off of social media in 2024, it's where I share the real stuff. I share stories, tools, updates that I don't post anywhere else. So sign up at any of the links in the show notes and you'll be the first to know when I'm hosting live Q&A or when I'm doing other fun things that are not available anywhere else. It's the best place to hear about it, stay connected, and grow together. All right, that is all I have for today. Thank you. Stay curious, and I'll see you next time.